The state of New Jersey is forcing a mother to pay back the loans that she co-signed of her son. Now, that's not surprising. What is surprising about this story is that they are making this woman do it despite the fact that her son was murdered. They sent, terrible, right? So they sent a letter to this mother. Here's what it said. This is from the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority of New Jersey. Please accept our condolences on your loss, but after careful consideration of the information you provided, the authority has determined that your request does not meet the threshold for loan forgiveness. Monthly bill statements will continue to be sent to you. So that means that murder does not qualify for loan forgiveness.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
Sure.
I mean, you think Christie's fat ass would have a heart because he runs these people.
So actually, Christie cannot do anything about it. It actually says it in the article. You would think that Christie was able to do it.
I was just going to blame Christie.
You know, it sounds good. So Republican Governor Christie says that his hands are tied when it comes to making changes in the program. But his appointee, Gabrielle Charette, has the power to not only appoint at least 12 of the agency's 18 board members, but veto actions taken by the board. Okay, it turns out you were right.
So that means Christie does have power.
Christie cannot directly
but he can tell,
but he can tell his
Gabriella, be like, listen, girl, listen, Linda.
Shut this down. Well, here's the thing. Like, a situation like this is terrible. It's obviously a perfect example of what's wrong with the system. But you have to remember that as a Republican, for Christie wants this system to exist, right? This is just an example of when it is really, really terrible and it shines a light on it. But for him, he wants this to continue.
Yeah, most Republicans want this to continue. And the system, here's the thing, America. Beyond the fact that, you know, the cost of college is too high, and beyond the political ramifications of this, has huge economic ramifications.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Totally.
Huge. Right? Now, this story is sad, but this story once again shows how much power the student loan lobby has, not only in Washington, because that's where part of their power comes from, but in relative state capitals across the country, where governors refuse to tap down on what is absolute recklessness. It's just a wild, wild west. They do what they want. Yeah. Right? And in this situation, this lady will remember her child's death every 5th of the month.
Oh my God! Yeah, when you're writing that check.
When you're writing a check to the student loan, I mean, he can't even use the education anymore.
Of course. And
it's sick. And I mean, here's the thing. It could happen to me because if I were to die today or tomorrow, my mom would get the same letter from Navient and Sally Mae. Because she co-signed. Yep. Absolutely.
Sorry about your loss.
Sorry, not sorry.
Right? And New Jersey has actually been pretty bad about this. There was an interesting situation where there's this guy named Chris Gonzalez who had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, was super, super, super sick, basically was going to die. But then he didn't, and he ended up getting laid off from his job. And the federal government actually authorized for him to have some degree of student loan forgiveness. New Jersey, on the other hand, sued him and proceeded to snap up his state tax return to garnish his wages to get that money, which he was desperately counting on because he didn't have a job because he had cancer, right?
I mean, it's sickening. It's absolutely
sickening. So New Jersey
sickening.
is probably one of the worst states.
I mean, this is a I mean, I'm telling you, this is a crisis of when the balloon pops on this thing.
It's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad. Like when more and more students start defaulting because they just cannot afford to make the payments.
I mean, will it be as big as the subprime crisis?
Absolutely, and here it's going to be worse.
When's it going to happen? 20 years?
You never know when it's going to happen, right? But it's going to be uniquely worse, and the reason why it's going to be worse is because at least in the subprime crisis, it was attached to property, right? So it was clearly the market took this huge dump and a dive, but
the property still exists.
The property still existed, so there's an opportunity to at least gain back some of the losses. What basically you have here is a situation with the student loan is just a piece of paper.
Right.
Like if I could honestly and truthfully, if I could send my little piece of paper, which I just framed maybe like 2 years ago, back to Navient and Sally Mae, I would send it to them so fast their heads would spin. I'm like, here you go, you can have it.
Well, I think that's an important distinction too.
It's a piece of paper.
The piece of paper is the degree, right? And the thing that's problematic is that it's non-transferable, right? You can't be like, okay, paid off all my student loans, I got my degree, now I'm going to sell it to someone else.
Nope.
right? It only exists.
Which is where the system went wrong. And this is what you can blame Ronald Reagan and all these smart guys in the 80s for, right? When they were like, oh, we need to get away from grants.
Yeah.
We need to move to this loan-based system. This loan-based system has created havoc, right? It's created absolute havoc. I just think about my own personal life, right? Like I just, after some coaxing from some friends, decided to consolidate all my federal loans into one big, larger loan, so I just make one monthly payment, right? And I was looking over the records, and if you don't, it's pretty cool. You should go to the National Student Loan Database, so the NSLD, excuse me, .ed.gov, and you'll see all your federal loans, not your privates, your federals. And one of my federal loans has gone through 3 different servicers.
Oh yeah, it's very common.
3 different services, and it's guaranteed by one company, and it's gone through 3 different services. So how many people are making money off of me?
Well, that's the thing. That's how they make money off of it.
And the interest payments are ridiculous. Yep. Like you think about on my privates, I pay about $300 a month, right? And other things, like more than like 70% of it just goes to interest payments, and not even paying down the principal. Which
is actually staggeringly high.
Right.
I mean, now over time, your proportion of interest payment to principal will shift.
Right.
But
it's still shocking.
I mean, there is a way, if we as a country decide to reevaluate our priorities, and we think, okay, we're putting a premium on education in this country, and it's important, you need it to get a job, but we shouldn't be charging these like borderline credit card level interest rates.
Not at all.
For people's education.
And I mean, I feel like the Adele song should just be playing in all these lawmakers' heads, like, hello from the other side. Look at all the countries we talk about. Donald Trump talks about China, Mexico, Canada, Japan, Germany. All those countries have made the choice to pump federal dollars, their government money, hard-earned taxpayer dollars, into funding and subsidizing the cost of college. Not through loans, but actually paying the tuition, keeping the cost low, no frills and thrills, but you get a great education, and you graduate without the staggering of debt, because all these countries understand that if you can train a person at 18 to come out at 21 to be a computer programmer, right, and they get a job right away, and they're not paying student loans, but actually buying homes and buying cars and buying expensive things, that it helps the economy. Only in the United States do we have this pyramid upside down, and there's the political will. The political will to fix it is just not there. It's more than tinkering with interest rates, which is what everybody wants to do. Yeah. Barack Obama's like, oh, well, we'll do, and I love the president, well, income-based repayment. That doesn't solve the problem.
No, it doesn't.
Because the loan principal is still there, attached to nothing. Oh, and the other problem that you have is that Sallie Mae and Navient, the 2 major servicers, are best buds with the Department of Education.
Yeah.
Which blows my mind.
Right, because that's certainly not a conflict of interest.
Like when they write the contract that goes out to procure people to service loans, the only people that qualify are goddamn Sallie Mae and Navient.
Yeah.
All the time. It's like they write them for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a very, we talk about this all the time on the show. It's a big problem we have as a country, is this short-sighted mentality. Like right now, the reason that the system is the way that it is because people are making money, and it's a short-term situation. You say, we offer these loans, people get what they want, which is the education.
Our system.
No one's really thinking about, like, okay, what does this really mean for building wealth for an entire generation of Americans?
Hello.
Right? When we're 10 years down the line, and you basically have 10 years of paying off a loan versus 10 years of paying into the economy.
Thank you.
Right? You're going to end up in a situation where you've got a huge problem. I mean, I know so many people that like make a ton of money my age and would never be able to buy a house right now because they have so much student loan debt.
I'm one of those people. I can honestly say that, like millions of Americans, I'm one of those people that I make enough money where I should be able to buy a home.
Right.
But I am basically, it's a barrier. What student loans are a barrier to the American dream. And it's more than, and I know we need to get to the next story, but the one other point I want to make about this, it's more than just fixing the people going into the system. Because all the politicians are talking about fixing the people that are going in, right? People who are starting college tomorrow, right? Or the day after that. But they're not talking about the $1.3 trillion that's already amassed. That's where the crisis is.
Yeah. That's a huge long-term problem.
That's where the crisis is. Yes, you need to make it more affordable. Yes, you need to fix people going in. Agreed. But that's a crisis that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Like, this crisis is going to happen.
It's ongoing.
And I think what politicians need to focus on is somebody needs to have the courage. I don't give a damn what party you belong to. Just have some good economic sense to be like, wow, this is a problem. Where are all all these Republican economists who saw the 2008 downfall, to look at the numbers of like, this is a staggering problem. Like, oh, holy shit, we're in trouble. We need to fix this.